Um, in my stocking for Christmas, my
Yeah.
parents filled it with like every kind of candy from the Winco bulk section.
Very nice.
It explains why I have Smarties and also ginger at the same time.
I would take the ginger for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about the ginger.
Cram one of those gingers. Give a review on this.
Can you hear the crunch?
Well, I can hear the bag. Yeah, yeah. After last week, we now know that you are the best at ASMR chewing. So,
Mm-hmm. I'm really good at it.
uh, we should do an intro before we get too far into this. I feel like.
Okay. Yep. That is one thing that you do when you're a professional like us. All right. Well, this week's podcast is brought to you by Imaginary Nudie Booby Rooms and hashtag real people having real conversations.
Yikes. This week's podcast is also brought to you by Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteaser.
I'm your host, Madison.
I'm your other host, Jesse James. Hey, I saw Cats, so get ready for that. We'll talk about it in depth once you've seen it. I just want everybody to know that that's coming, just like all of those moviegoers are coming to Cats.
There's I don't think there's any other reaction you can have.
I hear the moans of death over there. That's a reaction you could have.
That might have just been the door.
It was.
Our doors are creaky.
I like a door that sounds like the wailing from the grave.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. I'm bummed. I haven't gotten to see Cats yet because I tried to torrent it like 3 different times and they all had ads for some gambling website and it was completely unwatchable. Cats was completely unwatchable. That's how bad these ads were.
That sucks. Most of the stuff that I've seen on lascivious internet, let's say, has been, I don't know, just a lot of like Chinese like scrolls and stuff that you can usually turn off. But
yeah, that might have been an option, and I'm just not savvy enough to do it. But they were pretty bad. Like right when Frozen 2 came out, I downloaded one that had a piñata that kept dropping from the top.
Ooh, that would add something, I think.
I liked that, and I powered through that one because that was good. Oddly enough, I think it was an ad for the same website as this one, so I don't know.
I mean, at least it wasn't like hardcore porn ads just popping
up. I mean, at least it wasn't.
I mean, we might not feel the same on that, but it can't take you out of a movie. It might be perfectly
depends on the movie.
Yeah. And a big part of my week is the shirt, which I need everybody who's seeing the video of this to check out My Big Beaver. This shirt is moderately comfortable and way too big, but I got it for Christmas, so I got to wear it sometime.
I like it. I really like the style of the angry beaver that you're wearing.
I'm a big fan of the beaver. It is a good shirt.
And so much opportunity for just wonderful conversation.
I could also definitely fit 3 people into this shirt.
It looks comfy. We'll say
yeah. That. It's a sleep shirt that I did wear to work today.
Working is just like, oh no, never mind. I was going to say, no, it's not comparable at all.
So I know actually, no, I want to get a service announcement out of the way real quick. I watched the Christmas calendar because the Christmas train rolls on for shitty movies. The Christmas Calendar is a piece of shit. Nobody should watch it. Uh, it's a hard pass for me, even though I'll probably end up watching it again to force other people to watch it in the future. But that's a bad one of the Christmas movies. So
How does it rank between the Christmas Princes and Christmas Nights and what's the other one you watch? Like a Cinderella story or something like that?
the other one I watched, yeah, I would say a Cinderella Christmas, I think it was called. That one is probably about the same entertainment level as Christmas Calendar, but I would say Naughty and Nice is a better movie, and that's the one with the radio DJs and
Mm.
like he nags the lady into like quitting her life essentially, and that's the romance.
So
Um,
romantic.
yeah, really, really good. I saw another movie, but it was actually entertaining enough. It was an ABC movie about two families that go to Hawaii every Christmas, and it was basically like maybe 3 episodes of a sitcom that didn't get made, is what it felt like. But it was good. I don't know. There's nothing too special about it, but I've found that post having visited Hawaii finally last year, I just like seeing it in stuff, even if I know how problematic that can be.
Yeah. I that's kind of like that that reminds me of the end of the last Star Wars where they go back to what is it, Tatooine or whatever.
You mean the eighth movie?
Yeah, the last sorry, like the last one in the second trilogy. The
Yeah.
one, yeah, where Rey goes back and there's really no point to the whole scene other than she's just like, "Hey, I'm here and you know this place." That must make you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yay. I remember so little about the second movie other than all the things I liked are dead.
Mhm.
Uh, I've I'm still anxious to see the last movie, but I've heard a synopsis of it so many times now that it's really just to put pictures to what I know happens.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I ranted about it for a while in the last one.
Yeah, you were like the third person to tell me about it, and I've seen like 5 other breakdowns of it since then.
Mm.
Because you might be surprised to know this, but nerds are on the internet.
Weird.
Yeah. So that order of business of a Christmas calendar sucking asses out of the way. Uh, However, I do. Side note: I almost died this weekend of just being shitty. Uh, so you also watched The Witcher, and that's something we both watched, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
How far did you make it?
Oh, let me actually pull. I forgot to check. Netflix will tell me because I'm having a hard time, I guess, following
The
these
story?
storylines. Well,
Yeah.
I get like someone was explaining to me that they are happening at different times, I guess.
Yeah.
So that helps, but
Being more of a Witcher person, I think I caught on to that a little earlier than some people, but only because I know that those characters don't do those things at the same time.
yeah, I kind of yeah, okay. I'm about to finish episode 4.
Okay, so we're at about the same spot, actually.
Okay.
Uh, so what's the last thing that you saw? Were they at the party?
Mm, okay, the last thing that I remember with much clarity I think what you're referring to, like Sterilla's mom
Hmm.
and the what is happening? Like they're having a party or something, and then the hedgehog man comes in and he was like,
Yeah.
"I want to marry her," and she's like, "No, you're ugly," and he's like, "Fine, I'll fight everyone then."
Yep.
That's what I
Uh,
remember.
This show, I wasn't sure what to expect, because like the Witcher games are sort of a weird take on the Witcher books, which are different than like the storylines diverge quite a bit over time. Uh, this show seems like it's doing its own version of the books again.
Hmm.
And it's a little different, but it's kind of closer to what the books were like. Um, and I mean, I wouldn't really suggest reading the Witcher books. They're cool, and I've read some of them, but they're like kind of extra nerdy, I guess you could say. Uh,
Hmm.
they're very like witches and wizards mixed with like, hey, remember everybody's life sucks, uh, which I
Yeah.
feel that's a very like Eastern European folklore kind of way to go with it, and they capture that pretty well. But um, I think this show is actually maybe a better way for people to learn the backstory on The Witcher, because like a lot of the stuff in these 4 episodes so far does take place in some way or another in the video games. Like they depict a lot of that stuff,
Hmm.
but the the first video game especially is kind of impossible to play. Like it's fine, uh, and the second
Like
one is a
art
good.
wise, it's difficult.
It,
Or is it like
uh,
anti-fun?
no, it's not anti-fun. I'm gonna I'm gonna find a screenshot to message over to you,
Okay.
um, and I think you'll understand some of it. Uh, And the second game is actually quite good, but it's just like kind of dated. Like it's old enough to where you might as well play a newer game. Uh, and then the third game is great, but the third game is also like 200 hours long. So,
Oh, wow.
and I think they've already sort of hinted at the fact that they are getting to the fourth game because they renewed licensing and made a whole new deal with the original author and stuff. So uh,
Hmm.
there will be plenty of ways to get into Witcher stuff later.
Yeah, I do like the show a lot actually for not knowing the universe at all. I
Yeah,
like it a lot. I wrote as my first impression that it's kind of like emo Narnia.
yeah, totally. I
So
could see that. Oh boy.
yeah. Also, everybody in the show has really good hair. Even Geralt. Like, I wish I could have Geralt's hair minus the sweaty, gross look, but everyone's got pretty good hair.
Yeah, that's actually kind of in line with the mythos. Magic people kind of can look better, like on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, like the one other side story that's I forget her name. What is her name? The
Yennefer.
lady Yennefer, yeah, who was like a hunchback, and then they make her hot. that was that was
uh,
really funny.
if I remember in the original story, I think that they kind of used that as a yeah. Look at that sexy Witcher one Witcher. um,
They got the eyes right.
yeah. Uh,
Oh.
also, like I'm a nerd for this series where like when he's doing that like I gotta struggle with this monster scene, and he takes
Mhm.
the little vial of ooze and like chugs it.
I
Like
loved that. Yeah.
that's what I'm there for, because in like the third game, especially one of your big parts of your gameplay loop is like sitting down and just brewing a bunch of potions together because you
Oh, really?
need them for later. Uh, they also mention mutation stuff in a way that I was kind of surprised because there is this idea in that world of almost like a cellular biology is a thing that they have, but it's like a magic version of it.
Hmm.
Um, and towards the beginning of, I want to say it was like it might have been the first episode, uh, when he's supposed to go like, uh, two people want him to kill each other essentially.
Hmm.
Um, and the one guy mentions like, this person has a mutation and we want to try and get it out of them. That is a thing in that world, is like, uh, mutations are like an actual like cellular thing that you can remove and then
Oh,
use for stuff. And I was surprised to even mention that because that's like such a complex idea for a TV show that's obviously not going to really go into that. uh,
yeah. Huh. I didn't really catch on to that part of it. Um, I bet at some point they're gonna have like a really graphic scene though where it gets cut out of someone. Or did that already happen and I just wasn't paying attention?
I don't think so. It could happen. There's I don't like there's about 8 hours of it, so that could come up, but I would be surprised.
Hmm.
Uh, but what were your thoughts on it? Getting back to like Yennefer stuff, she is a really big part of that whole storyline. Uh, and so is Siri actually. The that part I think is a little more obvious, but
Yeah, I like I like her timeline as kind of a break from the other one.
yeah.
It's a little nicer usually. I don't know. Like I liked I guess I like Yennefer's character. I was kind of hoping that when they were doing her ascension or something where she's supposed to like go get hot and she doesn't go to
Yeah.
it. And then she just has him do it later. I was kind of like hoping that it wasn't going to be that way or that it was like not going to work or something and she was
Right.
going to have to be like, "Oh, I'm still a hunchback, but I can do magic and that's okay," sort of thing. But no, they just made her hot and that's fine too. I people like, I think, a makeover. So
Yeah, it does have a little bit of a like say yes to the dressness to that
it
section.
kind of does. Except for she's getting her fucking like ovaries cut out or something. That's a little
Yeah.
less TV friendly, but I like her character so far. Um,
It's that stuff seems a little weird because as far as I remember, and I think I was going to say that earlier, but uh, they do that to themselves in the original story. So
oh
like,
really? God.
yeah, so they like choose whether or not they're going to like make themselves look the way they want, and it's like violent, but it's not surgery. It's them like using magic to like move themselves around.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it. Yeah, I like the way that they did that visually, like with the
Hmm.
paintbrush and everything. I thought that was really cool. Um, every time there's a couple of scenes in the show where I'm like, so I haven't read the books, I haven't watched or played the games, so I don't really know what kind of the stakes are, I guess. I know that it's pretty violent and dark, but other than that, I don't really know anything. But there's a couple of scenes where I'm just like, oh, okay, so truly anything can happen. Like when they kill off the baby that Yennefer's
Oh yeah.
protecting. I'm like, oh my god, really? They just put a dead baby on the screen, and that was cool. Like, wow. So I wasn't
Well,
expecting them to
and
commit.
she kind of seems nonplussed by it. Like,
She like does not care.
I guess
Which,
that baby's
yeah.
dead.
And I was not sure what was going to happen there because they made a point of saying like, "Hey, you can get hot, but you're not going to be able to have kids later." And now
Right.
she has like a baby, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is the follow up with from that she'll like raise this baby as her own, but no, it just gets stabbed, which is sad.
I mean, kind of side note to that, but that is a through line that's worth remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'm sure it's gonna come
yeah,
up because she tries to heal it, I think, and she just can't do
yeah.
it. So yeah.
Um, I haven't heard any like super negative things from the people who watched it like day one, so I'm gonna assume that they don't like mess up her character too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like in the storyline, she's sort of the like she's arguably more imposing than Geralt at like later points, but I don't know.
Like scary.
She's just like they have a lot of stuff about how like she turns the tides of certain like battles and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Uh, so she's more of a like mouse sack later.
Oh my god. Yeah, I wrote that down too. Mouse sack. Is that real? Is that from the books? Is that
Yeah, I
like
think so. I think
uh,
that's I think he is in both the books and the games. It's just a good name. There's a
it's
lot
great.
of quite good names in the Witcher world.
Yeah, the hedgehog dudes, I think his name is Dooney or something.
That sounds right.
What is this not okay. Um
There's a character in the games that I've heard is like sort of officially accepted that is just God. Kind of
hmm,
like how Lord of the Rings has Tom Bombadil as a weird like stand-in for God. Uh,
interesting.
so they could get super weird with it later, but I'm curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I like it. I sat and watched it for about 4 hours or however long 4 episodes is. So I'm pretty into it. Let's see what else I wrote down.
I know you had something to explain to me.
Um, well, like what? Oh, the part that I referenced in my intro. I really like the in the first episode when he walks into this guy's imaginary room that he like what's the
Oh
word
yeah,
that he like created because he's a wizard or something, and it's just like the Garden of Eden, I guess, is what it's supposed to be, but just
I
like
guess the garden of
naked ladies
the
everywhere.
garden of just naked women in every direction.
Boobies. The Garden of Boobies is what it is. So he's yeah, he's just like, hey, isn't this cool? I made this. Like this is what you get when you're a wizard and you can make stuff with your mind. And Geralt is just like, okay, yeah, Geralt is kind of interesting to me too because he hit the if I understand correctly, the thing about Witchers is that they don't have feelings, right?
Uh, that's a more or less a rumor that they go along with because it makes them scarier.
Okay, that feels more correct because
Yeah.
he really seemed to like what's her name, Renfrey,
Yeah.
or they like boned once and he thinks about her all the time.
They boned once and then she like haunts his
Just
dreams from now on.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused about that because she is supposed to be like a witch or something, isn't she, or some sort of
I
magic person?
I think she's like an untrained witch, maybe.
Okay, yeah, okay, so if I'm remembering correctly, they just like have weird dream sex, or
Uh,
maybe it is real sex, and then she just leaves.
yeah. It's hard for me to tell, honestly. The way that they shot that scene made it seem like they had sex and then she like gave him visions and like ran off afterwards while he was asleep. It's hard to say.
That's a good first date. I like it.
I honestly, I'd be fine with it. The uh, the thing they did in the games was you sleep with a bunch of witches in the first game because it was in like 2001 or something, and everybody was way into games being as horny as possible. And they would leave you like a baseball card of them naked, essentially. So you were like collecting lady cards,
Like, gotta catch them all the.
basically.
That is fucking hilarious. I did like the one scene where I don't remember where this is, but he's talking to the um I don't even know, prostitute lady.
Oh, like he was just hanging out at like a room with
Yeah.
some lady.
And I
Yeah.
like the guy outside who's like, "Get the fuck out. Like, you're done." Like, I liked that a lot. That was pretty funny. But yeah, it makes sense that you're saying that they just kind of go along with that because it seems pretty obvious to me that he does too have feelings.
Right.
But
Yeah, it that world has a big emphasis on sort of imagining what would happen if just regular ass human politics existed in like a Lord of the Rings kind of world.
mhm.
And that's why like the elves have it so rough, and there are dwarves in that world too, but they also are like not that many, and they got fucked with real hard. And it's interesting. Like it's a much more earnest take on some of that stuff, I feel like, but it's also like dumb in its own like swords and sorcery kind of way. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that guy that he's hanging out with gets his nickname in this season, because I like his nickname that he
Oh
gets.
shit, the like minstrel dude.
Yeah,
I love him.
yeah, he's a good character in the gaming section of that stuff. They actually use him as like the narrator,
Mm.
so you'll like uh, in the third one, he actually like is giving you all this information narration that is also like not super accurate, but like a good version of it. And then I think it's like almost 20 hours when I was playing it before I met him. So they just kind of had him like woven into the like narration instead of being there for a lot of it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of and maybe this is just how the books are, but there's a lot of the show where you can tell very much that it seems adapted from a game or something. I guess just like the format of like, go to this town, here's a monster, go to this town, here's a monster, kind of
Well, and
comes out.
I think that's actually all
How
book
the book.
adaptation stuff. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then maybe that's why it made such a good video game.
Yeah, probably. And that's the people who are making Cyberpunk, that board game, into a video game. So like I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that series next, because I think there's a lot of room to still have stuff. But
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, one thing I was gonna ask you is what exactly is the Witcher, the power that Geralt has? It
oh,
seems
when
just
he
like a
does his magic
energy
fingers?
blast thing. But except for then he also makes force fields
Yeah.
sometimes.
So so Witchers have 5 runes.
Oh, okay.
uh there is a I don't think that's exactly right, but Witchers learn like a weird uh like small version of magic.
Okay.
Uh so generally it's uh like the like little force thing, which I appreciate that Henry Cavill really committed to making magic fingers for that.
Speaking of Henry Cavill, this is like the fact that Witchers are supposed to not have feelings is the perfect role for
Yeah.
him as someone who cannot move his face for
Yeah,
his own life.
he's a really good choice for it. His voice also is like exactly the same as
Is
how they
it?
usually depict him. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down that sometimes, like, if you're not paying attention and he talks, his voice kind of sounds like a text to voice converter.
Yeah. Uh, that is accurate to the character. Uh, the what the other magic is a force field, so that is one of them.
Mm.
Uh, and then they can make fire, like um, in the game it's usually depicted as like lighting candles, but I think in like in a
That's
more
funny.
like the universe context, it's just like little bits of fire. It's not like they don't have like a flamethrower really. Uh, but
Because
like
that would be ridiculous.
yeah, that would be crazy. I'm actually curious if they'll include that in the show at all, because it
Mhm.
seems like it's either gonna be towards the end when it's like you didn't expect this, or it'll be just like passed over because it's not super important.
Mhm.
Um, then they also have so the barrier thing is like a force fieldy kind of thing. There's
Yeah.
another thing that is just I think around them that they can kind of keep themselves from getting cut more or less for like a limited amount of time.
Mhm.
Sort of a oh no, I'm gonna hit that wall, and then like give themselves a second to
A
not die.
buffer? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just stuff like that. And like I think it's
Okay.
supposed to be some kind of take on dwarven runes because dwarves in a lot of fiction don't have magic, but they have the ability to make magic with rocks and stuff. And I think the Witchers have like little like talismans that allow them to do that magic,
Mm.
as opposed to being like wizards or anything.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I was wondering because I saw him do a couple of different things, and I was like, "What is your magic, sir?" And also, I really like the scream power that Siri and her mom
Oh
had.
yeah.
I don't understand it at all, but it's
Um,
just like prolonged shrieking that maybe makes a tornado sometimes.
yeah. Yeah,
Kind
I honestly I think that that is also a Witcher thing later.
of. Okay,
But
good.
it's a rune instead of screaming at people.
Okay,
But
I'm excited to see more of that.
the screaming is a good effect for that.
Yeah.
Uh, also, they at least seem to be setting up something that I always think is kind of funny uh, because those characters do meet eventually.
Hmm.
Uh, and like Witchers live for like an exceedingly long amount of time if they're not dead. That's why he always kind of looks the same. Because I want to say,
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
yeah, like the scene where they're at that party is like, uh, I mean, it's years before the later scenes, but it's also like Yennefer. Once Yennefer can change the way she looks, at least in the original story, she kind of just looks that way forever until she dies. Um, and the Witchers do age, but they age like very slowly. So they're like jumping around in time is even more confusing with that.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't really. The only reason I knew the party scene was, before is because it just had Siri's parents in it, and they
Yeah.
were dead. So that makes sense.
Hmm. Also, her grandma is very abrasive.
Yeah, one thing that this is a stupid thing to be bothered about, but like the I think it's the first battle scene that they have with the queen, and they have like the old school, just like one army here and one army here, and they're just
Oh
gonna run
yeah.
at each other. Yeah, so she goes and does that battle, and she her I didn't understand if it was her husband or her brother, but other
Oh,
dude.
yeah, because they didn't explain it that well until later.
Yeah, I whoever that was, I still don't know, but dies. But she takes a whole like 15 or 20 seconds to just stand there and scream and cry in the
Yeah,
middle of like just everyone getting their head cut off. And yeah, that's a stupid thing to be nitpicky about, but I was just like, this is a really long time for you to be upset about this and not be getting killed.
that
But
was a
okay.
little annoying because it seemed like the whole point was setting it up so that it was a surprise that she was an asshole later.
Mm,
Um, and it felt kind of forced because in the story, like all of the people who are some form of like uh, in charge are kind of assholes. Like that's the point.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they really needed to spend that much time with that because she definitely would have been dead. Like that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I it's nitpicky, but I just felt like it was long.
Yeah.
But
Though on the other end of that, I did like that they spent time with the like super like racist shitty family that Siri runs into for a little while. Uh when
oh
she's
yeah.
that part I thought was the good version of that where it's like, no, no, you're part of the family now. We'll help you out. Like, no big deal. And then they're like just assholes to everybody else. And they're talking about like how elves are pieces of trash. And then that dwarf just stabs the shit out of her, which I thought was really funny.
I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That might be a product of us being in the United States also. Having fantasies of the dwarves just stabbing all the shitty people, but hey, you know.
Yeah, that might be a little specific to us, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Um
I was sad about the guy with the elf ear necklace dying though, because he was nice to her. Although he, given the elf ear necklace, seemed like also a piece of shit. But
yeah. Like he was fine, but he I'm fine that he had to go.
yeah.
Well, so what I was originally asking about is the other thing that you were going to tell me about that you've been watching a lot of.
Oh, well, I totally missed that. So the other thing I've been watching is The Circle on Netflix, and it's such hot garbage, and I love it so much. Okay, so it's kind of like it has kind of a Black Mirror vibe to it, but like not
Oh,
really.
okay. I thought this was going to be like a game show.
It
so,
is. It is a game,
oh,
kind of.
okay.
Yeah. But it is kind of Black Mirror too. So it's a reality TV show, kind of like Big Brother esque. Um,
Okay.
so the premise is that they have 8 people who are stuck in this apartment building, and they all get to live in their individual, really cool, very chic designed apartments, but they never meet each other. And so for the duration of the game, they're just stuck in these apartments, and they can only communicate with each other through this social platform called the Circle. And it's
Uh,
just like, yeah,
this sounds very stupid.
it's so stupid and I love it. So everyone in their whole apartment is hooked up with like security cameras everywhere, or just cameras, and they've got like TV screens everywhere that have the Circle on them, and the Circle is basically a social networking app that is voice activated, so you can hear what they're saying, but
Okay.
they can only like talk to each other through the app, if that makes sense. Are you?
Sorry. Yeah, there's a suspicious plate on this table. Uh,
Okay.
I am listening to this. It sounds like if you were to try and make the most dystopian version of what a social network would end up as, a
Yeah.
reality for only 4 people?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And the whole uh point of the game is, so it's 8 people, and basically it's a popularity contest. So they'll like let you during the day, they get sessions where they can group chat and talk, and sometimes they'll do like mini games where everybody can participate, and at any time
I'm gonna
people.
need some examples of these mini games.
Oh yeah, for sure. What was the last one that I watched? So I think there's only 4 episodes up now. It's like weekly thing, like they're gonna put
Oh,
up new
okay.
episodes weekly.
Yeah, I
But
saw they were doing that on Netflix now.
yeah, it's super fun. I totally like not being able to watch all of it at one time.
Yeah.
um, what was the last one? I mean, they're pretty dumb. Like the last mini game they did is uh a person would be like, or a person would have a celebrity pop up on their screen, and they'd have to like describe who it was to the rest of the group, and everybody has to guess.
Like without the name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like one of them, and then uh they do other things to just kind of like rile up the drama. Like they'll let someone be anonymous, like send a question anonymously to the group, and you can ask whatever you want to whoever you want, just anonymously. So
Like, is the anonymous question one of the 8, or is it some random person?
it's one of the 8. Yeah.
Okay, that is a better premise at least.
Yeah. So it's just these 8 people talking to each other the whole time.
Okay.
And the way they like win is every day they have
Kill
to.
one?
It
Oh, okay.
seems like it's going to lead that direction, but not. Every day they just like rank each other based on how much they like everybody else, and then they average it out, and then there's like a ranking 1 to 8, who's the coolest and who fucking sucks, and the top two people get to be influencers, is what they call them, because
This
the
this is
premise can.
melding uncomfortably close to my playing Death Stranding lately.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the 2 people um get like extra power, and they become the influencers, and the influencers get to decide that week who gets kicked off
Okay.
the show. And then at the end, the last person gets like $100,000, I think.
Could you imagine living in a world where your your job was to have a chance of having Instagram pay you for the month, but you had to beat 8 other people at Instagram to get it?
Yeah. Yep, that sounds like my ideal planet.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds rough.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just so stupid, but it's like the kind of stupid that's fun to watch. Like, because they can only upload things in certain, like when the game tells you that you can. So at the beginning, the whole first episode is just them setting up their profiles, and it's like each of them picks their profile pictures and has to give their reasoning why they pick that profile
Is
picture.
it 4 men and 4 women?
Yes. Oh, but this
Okay.
is a big thing I forgot to tell you, is that people can play the game as themselves, as somebody else, or they can. I mean, there's no rules. So, like
Oh.
right now on the show, there's one guy who's playing as his girlfriend. So he's using his hot girlfriend's photos and everything,
Okay.
and basically catfishing everyone. And there's also this other lady who's like, her appearance is more like um she's a lesbian, she's like masculine, kind of butch person,
Hmm.
and she's also doing the same thing. She's using like some hot ladies Instagram photos instead. So
Interesting.
it's really fun to watch those people
I
interact.
I think as soon as you are in this situation and you see that there is not an even number of the genders out there and they're all really attractive, my first thought is every one of these women is a dude.
Yeah, that's actually so. Like, I guess I can kind of like spoil the first episode. Not that it's a huge spoiler, but what one thing that they did that I think, well, obviously is on purpose, is that everyone on the show, the way either they portray themselves to be extremely hot, or they picked just flat out like models and hot people. So like one of the girls is actually just a swimsuit model, and she
Okay,
gets
yeah.
kicked off first because nobody believes that she's real.
That's pretty good.
It's really fun. Yeah, I really liked that. That's the first episode. There's another guy that I can't fucking stand, and his name is Joey, and he's this like, where is he from? I want to say like Brooklyn or something, but he is like very bro-y, and
Okay. Like backwards hat broy or like uh
he's Italian, and he's obsessed with the fact that he's Italian.
oh
Like,
fun.
that's his entire identity is I'm Italian and I'm a family guy, and his there was just an earthquake.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
And he throughout the game likes to sprinkle into the conversation that he's a hashtag proud mama's boy, which I
Ooh, ooh.
physically am repulsed by that. And
Also, that
um
hashtag's too long.
it is very long, and that's the other thing about the show is that I don't know why people do this. I don't know why they chose people that did this or what the fucking deal is, but every single time they're like in their group chats, they're having conversations, everyone in the game will do this. Like they'll say something, they'll say their message, and then they'll end their message with like a hashtag related to the conversation. Like they're saying a hashtag. And I'm like, nobody does that. That doesn't even make sense. So, like, as an example, the swimsuit model lady at the end of the first group chat, she's like, I'm going to start a private group chat with all the girls. And so she starts a group chat called Skinny Queens, which is great.
Yes, it's great.
And then she she writes something like, hey guys, I just wanted to get to know you better because girls who stick together are pretty girls. Hashtag pretty girls or something like that. It's like mind-numbingly stupid, but why would you do that? And I don't know why. Like, nobody does that in real life. I don't know if the show thinks that's the thing that people do and they're like telling them to do it, but I
Hashtag
don't.
relatable.
Like, that's what happens the whole show. I'm like, I don't know. That really bothers me. But it's a fun mix of people. Uh, some of them are pretty annoying, but it's it's garbage and it's fun to watch.
I'm trying to remember. There's a British show
It's actually
that.
based on a British show.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'm
really good.
thinking of a British show that's like uh, I feel like you would have watched this too, or we already talked about this in the distant past. So it's a show in which uh, like I think four guys or more, maybe six, just stand at. Oh no, it's not gender based. It's just a group of people, and they bring in the other half of the people one by one. And I think it's a British show, but as they bring them in, I I think it was mostly just guys, and they brought in girls. They had to
Mm.
pick who their roommate was gonna be, but they would like try to convince her to be their roommate over the other guys, which also meant that there were some guys who like were like musclier or just shittier in general, who would like
Yeah.
vie really hard and like get like the first girl who came out and then change their mind like when the like fourth girl came out and like ditched the other one, which was a pretty amusing premise for like a bunch of people who you kind of can't stand from the very beginning. Uh,
Yeah.
I
That's
I would only watch that part of the show though. Like I just don't care about the rest of it.
Oh,
But
there's more because I just would watch that part.
yeah, like the like flesh auction part of it was pretty funny.
I hope they named it that.
Welcome back to Flesh Auction.
Ooh. Yeah, it is. The show is kind of similar in spirit to that, in that it's very shallow and stupid. So, yeah. I'm trying to think of what other characters are notable. There's another guy. His name is Chris, and his whole thing is that he's like very flamboyant and gay, and he is also a Christian. So he makes a point to be like, God is so good, and then says something that sounds really gay. I can't think of a good example, but he works God into every single conversation, and it's amazing. It's really good.
Also, hashtag same, hashtag relatable. I don't see how you can be gay and that into Jesus, but I guess it has to happen.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like I've seen a lot of that lately for some reason. Um,
It's
but I don't know why.
probably like the Christian community's blowback to all the like Trump garbage.
Yeah, probably. The
Like,
this is like a whole other podcast topic, but I could talk for a while about just how weird and interesting it is to watch Christianity evolve into a very uh aesthetically focused place, I guess.
I am more than willing to talk about that. Uh, I especially with it just being like the holiday season and us being in that weird negative zone where everybody is acting like they can say whatever they want about anything, even if saying whatever they want ends up being committing war crimes against Iran. uh, and it's always in this weird space of like the holidays just happened and we're not quite to Martin Luther King Day or Valentine's Day where we have to try and look good to other people,
Yeah.
say assholes. And like for this, it always feels like January is for shitty people where they just start pouring all their shit on the street until people start like picking up holidays again. I fucking hate it every year. It's like when the stupid like government shutdowns happen too. Is always in that chunk of time
Mm.
where people like put everybody at risk for literally nothing.
Yeah. Those fun
Yeah,
times of the year.
yeah, it's always good. Uh,
Yeah.
but a great time to visit Hawaii. It's pretty like it's the right
Absolutely.
temperature and it's well, it's pretty warm, honestly. Air conditioning helps a lot, but uh, everybody just left from their holiday vacations, so all you have to deal with is like Japanese honeymooners, and that's fun.
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
it.
That sounds good to me. I did
Yeah,
see an odd number of people that I know going to Hawaii for Christmas. And
yeah.
that's just, I fucking hate seeing that. Like, don't show me.
I hate to see it.
Don't, I hate to see it. Merry Christmas, but absolutely fuck you. Stop posting pictures of your happy Hawaiian Christmas vacation.
if
Anyway.
if I can ever make it large with any of my shit, I'm taking everybody I know just for like a week to sit in the fucking woods and not bother anybody, but be pleased with themselves for like a week.
I just want to sit on a beach and drink out of a coconut for like 5 straight days.
It
That's
sounds
it.
great.
That's
It's
all that I want.
the fact that those island nations are the most fucked with of like everywhere sucks because I feel like that's like, yeah, they had their own problems too, but most of modern times on islands is just trying to fucking chill for a second.
Just, uh,
And
I could really
atmosphere's
get behind.
always better for painting on those islands.
Yeah, absolutely. Eat some like roasted pig, drink some coconuts, have some mangoes,
Yeah.
other Hawaiian things.
Just go to American Samoa and hide on a beach for the rest of your life. Sounds fine.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm up for it.
You
Let's
know that
put
the assholes would find you, but it sounds great.
I'd hear back from the circle. They'd want to put me on the show.
Yeah.
I haven't submitted my application, but I will.
Oh, just as a completely non sequitur side note to blasting assholes for this segment, uh, your holiday phone tactics really stood out this year
Oh,
as just fantastic.
I did so well this year during the holidays. So good. Also, I'd like to note that a couple of my gifts that I received for Christmas are
Uh-huh.
dependent on having a phone. So
Oh, nice.
that was super cool. So what we're talking about is a thing that happened 2 days after Christmas. My boyfriend's little brother's 21st birthday. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to figure out why
Yeah.
you were so drunk.
I am still trying to figure out why I was so drunk on someone else's 21st birthday, but I don't know. So yeah, he was turning 21, and we went out in Spokane and got real messy. I was not intending for it to get that bad, but it did. And I don't actually
I
remember
didn't
how it
realize you were in
happened.
Spokane. That makes more sense.
Yeah, it's kind of the only place to go. Like if you're in Coeur d'Alene, you can't really. There's not anywhere real exciting to have your 21st birthday. So we
Yeah,
went to some
if you're
bars.
not hating non-white people, you don't really have a good place to drink, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we went to one really cool bar called Hogwash that is like probably my favorite bar of all time. It's a whiskey den, and I'm not the
Okay.
biggest whiskey fan in particular, but their drinks are really good. And they're also a restaurant, and they have really insanely good food. So,
What kind of food are we talking? Like burgers or something more
um,
something
it's
more?
kind of it's more, I would say, like small dishes. I
Okay.
don't really know exactly how I would classify the food. It's kind of like comfort food, I guess. Like bar, but nice.
Is it like a macaroni and cheese kind of place?
There
Do they
is,
have
yeah, there is like a
Okay.
macaroni and cheese. I want to read you the menu because I am always super excited.
All
Um,
right.
just when
Tell
I
me
read.
about this menu.
Okay.
Tell me the things that you didn't eat to keep from getting sloppy.
Okay. Actually, I did eat a lot of food here, and I still got sloppy, but the sloppy part happened later. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So this is not at all the menu that we had because I think they keep it pretty like regular. But they had like mac and cheese, chicken and waffles, um, really cool Brussels sprouts with truffle oil, pickled onion, white wine, and manchego cheese.
All
Uh,
of this, yeah. I'm
yeah.
into it.
Um, what else? Skillet cornbread.
Uh-huh.
That's
Uh-huh. I hope
uh,
somebody lives at least within driving distance of Spokane that hears this.
yeah. Please go to Hogwash. It's so good. Oh, they also do a thing called Bly poofs, which are um, what are they called? What is like pork rinds?
Oh, okay.
Is what they call it.
Chicharrones.
Chicharrones. Yeah, and those are good. Everything's good. Like, it's all amazing. I can't remember what I had because I can't remember anything.
Excellent.
But yeah, what Jesse was talking about is that I smashed my phone. Like, it got stomped on. I don't know if it was me that did it or Evan. I I don't know what happened, but actually I should just get it and show it to you. I took it to the repair bar here and they were just like, what did you do to this?
Actually, yeah. You go grab it, and I'll tell people about what I heard while you were doing that.
Oh God, I don't even want to. Yeah, good. I don't want to hear this.
So I got a video call at like 1:30 or something in the morning, and it was just Evan off in the background and Madison yelling like, "Oh, oh!" and like
Oh no.
they were clearly walking around outside, and I don't know. I was seeing the inside of a pocket, so like the talking was loud enough to where it was definitely like filtering around, and you could hear like some echoey bits. It was pretty good, but
I feel so bad about that.
I ended up just hanging up after a few minutes because I figured it was definitely an accident at that point.
What tipped you off? The fact that you were in my pocket, or like unintelligible screaming?
I could tell you were saying words. You were saying something about like it's like not that slippery or something like that. Who the fuck knows? Anyway.
Oh my God.
It was very funny when I then found out that you had flipped your phone onto the ground and stomped on it or whatever happened.
Okay, so here's the phone. It right now it has like I took it to the place and they gave me plastic protector sheets so that I wouldn't cut myself holding it.
All right.
So here's the back.
Oh. Wow.
You can see.
You really stomped the shit out of that phone.
Here's the front.
All right.
I'm thinking that this is where the heel made contact.
That seems likely.
Yeah, like the yeah, it's fucking. Well, you know what's hilarious is that it actually worked. Obviously not the screen, but it could receive calls, and
all right.
It was like on. It does work. Like I took it in to have my stuff backed up to iCloud, so that worked, but it's not functioning anytime soon without cutting someone.
When are you gonna be able to get a new device? Do you know?
So right now I'm using my mom's old pink iPhone 5.
Oh, okay.
And that's working very well for me. So
you're closer to my phone now.
Yeah, probably. I for some reason I feel like my entire family is more concerned about me having a phone than I am, because they all daily keep texting me asking me about the phone situation, and I'm like, I have one. It works. Like I don't really care.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our post Christmas 21st birthday that wasn't mine adventure.
I mean, it's a pretty good adventure. It seems like it was effective, if nothing else.
Oh God.
And you really taught that 21-year-old that they didn't know shit about shit yet.
You know, it's actually, I wouldn't recommend it. It's pretty embarrassing taking a 21-year-old out, because the next day he's totally fine.
Uh-huh.
And is like, hey guys, I had so much fun yesterday. Like, that was awesome. And then you're like puking out the side of a car. That's terrible. And the world
and that's
is
not
ending.
what you like?
I mean, uh, it wasn't too bad for me. Evan, I think, got the worst of it, but
Wait, what do you mean? Like you foisted it upon him, or he drank more than you did?
he drank more than I did. I'm assuming.
Wow. Because he sounded kind of normal from your pocket. So I assumed he was like the designated walker.
I think he's pretty good at sounding sober-ish when he's drunk, whereas I not at all.
Well,
So
Evan and I both have a slightly more monotone voice, and I think that helps with people thinking that we're more sober than we are.
yeah.
Because I've definitely had people be like, "Yeah, you just never got drunk," and it's like, I mean, I I remember everything, if that's what you mean. Uh,
Yeah,
it's been
I'm
a
pretty
long
sure
time since I've vomited out of the side of a car, though. That's good times.
yeah, that was Evan. That was not me. For the record, I did not do that.
Did it hit the side of the door? That's my favorite.
No, we were parked. I was able to
Okay.
park before it was horrendous and awful, but yeah, I don't know exactly why we drank so much because we weren't intending on that at all. Like Evan was actually just gonna have drinks in the first place and then not, but that is not what happened. The last thing I remember is going to a restaurant called the Gilded Unicorn that everyone likes. Um, it, and
And that's definitely a restaurant, not a strip club.
it is a restaurant and not a strip club, I
Oh, okay.
promise. And I think we got some. I think I got some sort of shot there for some
Mm,
reason. I think I made everyone take a shot, and then
good. Doing your
and
job.
then we ordered deviled eggs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm really feeling it. I've got to slam some deviled eggs. This, this is good drunk etiquette because the only thing better than talking to somebody who is viciously drunk is somebody who has also been slamming deviled eggs.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combination, and I don't remember what Evan. Do you remember what kind of shot that was that we had? Yeah, it's a Gilded Unicorn. What kind of shot did we have? It was like it was not a birthday shot, but it was some weird, freaky mixture.
It wasn't
I
like
don't
a
know.
lemon drop or one of your standards.
Honestly, I don't remember. I feel like watermelon was involved.
Oh,
I think
okay.
yeah, I think it was like a watermelon lime sort of thing. Because I remember we tried it and we were all like, "Oh, this doesn't taste like alcohol at all. We should get another one."
Uh,
So,
there is a place that we need to go when you guys are in town again, that make video game themed shots as like a big thing.
oh, cool.
One of the things you can get is a miniature milk jug full of what looks like milk, uh, and it's just called like a Lon drink or whatever from Legend of Zelda, and it's pretty alcoholic. And it's not a White Russian, which is what I thought it would be. It's like something else. Uh,
Mm.
but it kind of just tastes like you're drinking skim milk, and then you get to the bottom of this like 16 or so ounce drink, and you're like, whoa. um, but that place actually gave me. Oh, they also do ice cream sandwiches with Pop Tarts and shit. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
that place is one of the places. I've done this at too many places, and it's never turned out great. Uh, I will ask the bartender once I'm a few drinks in, like, hey, would you be willing to just make me a drink that you think a human would maybe not like, maybe like, I don't know, just
Hmm.
whatever it is, and I'll pay for it. And at that place, they wanted a name for it, so I gave them the name of a character from Mass Effect who drinks alcohol that humans can't drink, because of course that's going to be a good drink. Uh, and they made a really strong, like probably 8 ounce drink that just had every single hot sauce or pepper in it from like the kitchen, and
God.
then it had to be like gin or something in it too,
Mhm.
because it just was like the harshest flavor. And when I got to the bottom, there was like a quarter inch of grit in the bottom. Uh,
That's what you want.
that's the best way to go. When I went to that costume party, I just asked for something very large and very fruity that it would take me a while to drink. And usually, I'm sure it's annoying to some bartenders, but usually you can kind of read the room and tell if they're
Mhm.
like bored or not. And the bored ones will do it for you usually. And I got a thing that tasted like they had, it was like a screwdriver with Midori in it or something at that weird costume party.
Mhm.
Uh, and that helped.
That sounds good.
I wish I could do that with the United States and all Christians. Just if I drink this, I won't have to think about you anymore and it won't be a problem. That would be the
Yeah,
ideal situation.
that would. I would like that. I like that idea though. I might try doing that at more bars if they're receptive to doing that because I never know what to order. I usually just blurt something out at the last second that I don't
Just
actually want.
just think of a like descriptive word of some kind, and usually they'll think of something interesting.
Okay.
Uh, the first time I ever tried a grasshopper was because I asked for something minty,
Hmm.
and grasshoppers are great, but I wouldn't have known that if it weren't for doing that at bars. You
Yeah.
also have to be in a good mood because a grumpy person asking for whatever doesn't go across very well.
Give me whatever. No, yeah, that's probably something I would have to do a couple of drinks in to
Yeah,
even like get in the headspace to talk to a person that much.
that's my initial order has or was for a long time and generally would be if I were like had enough time to go to bars slash enough money on a regular basis. But usually I would just order uh, whatever their cheapest beer is with their shittiest whiskey.
Hmm.
And I think that sets a decent tone for being able to order random bullshit after
Yeah.
that. They know that
Yeah.
you're not rich or classy, and they will treat you more to that level.
I like that. That's good. It's
So
good to frame the
uh,
experience before it happens.
I did run into. It was only once of like probably the 100 times I've ordered that I ran into a very grumpy waitress uh, who just kept well didn't just keep but she asked like twice like what do you mean by shitty. I was just like uh and then very earnestly said like we don't have shitty whiskey here. It's just like
Okay.
yeah, very, I don't know, bad day for them maybe.
Yeah.
uh
Or maybe they just take it really, really, really seriously.
it's possible. I don't think that's the case based on everything else, but it's possible. You never know. uh But even that lady was pleasant after she realized I wasn't trying to fuck with her, I think, which
Yeah.
is also as a tallish, uh, odd-looking dude who goes to a lot of places alone and then meets people that like show up later. You do run that risk of seeming like you're being an asshole to people. Let's see, this person doesn't have any friends around them, is like drawing pictures in a sketchbook because assholes
Give
do
me your
that.
shittiest whiskey.
Give me garbage. Some people aren't going to respond well to that, but usually they do.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh yeah. But that's the story of my phone and how smashed. I wish I knew what happened. Actually, I don't. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I'm the one who did it and I don't know why. But I'm
Do
pretty
you
sure I stomped my own phone. I have no idea why.
like you whipped it onto the ground and stomped on it?
Yeah, it sounds like something I would do if I was really drunk and being kind of neurotic. Like that sounds like something I might do.
Like somebody calls you and you're like, not today.
Never again. I have no idea what would have brought it on, but I mean, I don't even remember, so I anything's a possibility, I guess.
It's it'll have to be one of life's great mysteries.
Yeah, it's a really fun thing now because I don't trust iCloud, so I've like never backed up my phone anywhere.
Yeah.
And so basically the last 3 years worth of all of my pictures are on this phone. And they're accessible, but I made it really hard for myself to do things.
Yeah. Also, like connecting it to your computer usually requires you to swipe on the
Do it,
phone.
yeah, yeah. That's the frustrating part. I like because when I took it in, it was really funny. They just put like a temporary screen on it, and it was like fine. It just worked, and it was great. And I was
Weird.
like, oh, can I just have that? I just want that, but so that's the story of my phone. Oh, also drinking related. There's not a really big story to this one, but it's just kind of fun. Uh, my cousin was here yesterday, 2 days ago, and we were playing a drinking game um, for. Why am I not able to think of this? Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and it was
That
really good.
that sounds potentially dangerous.
We got really drunk really fast, but
Yeah. There's a
yeah,
lot of repeated jokes in that.
one of them was the one that I think that got us the most was anytime a swallow is mentioned, because that happens about every
Yeah.
2 minutes, and any mention of God, that was a lot too.
Yeah.
Anytime someone pretends to be on a horse,
Did you
uh,
just drink the whole time they were clopping coconuts?
yeah, pretty much. At some point we had to be like, no, okay, this it like one for the scene, that's it. But my personal favorite one was drink every time the peasants know more about politics than the kings do,
Yeah.
which that's a good one. So if you want
Uh,
a good time and not such a good time the next day, I highly recommend that.
I will add to that recommendation another really good movie to do that with if you have the DVD copy is Wild Zero. Uh, it's a Japanese zombie alien movie that's like the most bizarre B movie that's also starring Guitar Wolf, which is a band with Guitar Wolf and Drum Wolf and Bass Wolf. uh, but the other weird thing is that Guitar Wolf is the like creator of the Dead or Alive series of like uh, big jugs fighting games that are really popular.
Okay.
Uh, so it's just layers of like weird shit piled on top of each other. And the things that are drinking, well, first off, the DVD has like things that'll pop up for it, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like every time somebody combs a pompadour, uh, every time fire shoots out of a microphone stand. I think actually it's every time fire shoots out of anything you're supposed to drink,
Oh
which is
God.
often. Uh, every time blood hits the screen, like it's all very good. Uh, but I would recommend that movie either way. But if you have a copy of it or can get a copy of it, the drinking game is very good.
That sounds really good. I
And
like the blood on the screen one.
the drinking game has like a natural intermission of like 15 minutes in the middle where
Mm.
you think like, oh, it must be like almost over. Like we haven't been drinking for like 15 whole minutes, and then the last like 20 minutes are just slamming booze the whole time.
Oh, that's funny. Oh God. I like
Also,
that there's blood splashing on the screen enough for that to be a thing.
well, like explosions are a thing. Like
Mm.
it's everything in that movie, and it doesn't have a super big cast. And the theme of the movie is about love not having borders. Like it is not at all what you would think it is.
I like that. I've never heard of that.
It's also like a weirdly pro-trans movie to come out of Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, it's interesting. Uh, I definitely own a copy of it.
Oh, that might be a fun thing to do next time
Yeah.
we're there and want to get real messy.
Even if we just did it with beer, you could probably get 4 beers in
Maybe.
just off that movie.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This drinking game is how I realized that Evan doesn't know how to play drinking games, or he plays them too well.
Yeah.
One of the two.
You guys were not. You were like sipping.
You're not supposed to chug it every
I
time.
wasn't.
It's a drink.
I'll sip.
Yeah.
Hey, some people have a big sip. That's just how it
It is
works.
a huge sip. He was like within a scene. Oh, and like granted, we were drinking, I would say, on an average of like every 4 or 5 seconds at least.
Yeah.
Just pretty continuously. Still. It was fast. We had to make him stop at one point. We were like, you can't play anymore.
Oh, what we need to develop is a Muzzy drinking game. I feel like that's really where the magic happens.
Yeah, we totally do because that's so funny you say that because there's something in the Holy Grail that reminded me of Muzzy for some reason, and I mentioned it, and my cousin was like, "What is that?" And I'm like,
What is this trash?
"No, you don't know what Muzzy is?" Yeah, we definitely
So
need to develop
every time he eats a clock, you have to take a shot of Goldschlager. Should probably be in there.
that. Oh my god! Every time the princess puts on roller skates, you have to take a shot of
That
something bad.
what we have just illustrated is somebody dying, though. Like you couldn't. You'd have to do like one episode at a time if you're gonna take like 6 shots an episode.
Yeah. It's less of a game and more of a manual on how to give yourself alcohol poisoning.
Every time they call something fat, you have to take a drink.
Yeah, every time. Oh, this would be a good one. They gratuitously show the queen eating.
Yeah, every time there's any kind of body shaming, and every time there is something that is clearly stalking, that they act like it's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're onto something. This is good. We
Yeah,
should
I
do
think.
this for our first, if we ever stream this.
Yeah, if we ever do a live version, it's going to be drinking games.
Yeah, that's something I want on the internet forever. Definitely.
Also, the camera setup for that is going to be interesting because we're either going to have to sit in a very close space or we're going to have like double audio. So that's
Yeah. Yeah, that part would make it kind of tough.
the mic that I have is built to pick up multiple people. It's just a matter of figuring out how to implement that properly.
Yeah. Well, something to explore at a future date.
Yeah, the idea tonight was we were gonna do podcasting and then talk to one of the official extra members, but that official extra member has not shown up. So
Okay.
I'm going to check in on that while we're still here.
Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we haven't gotten to?
There are kind of a lot of my week though was being the last few days have been me like on the verge of collapse, having some sort of weird panic attack slash my body rejecting how little I slept for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that hasn't been super interesting. I could probably talk about cats for the next 4 hours, but that is something that we'll have to do together because once you have reached the height of demonification with that cat shit, that's probably going to be like an entire episode of just cats. Uh,
Oh my god!
and is that
Why are you
sneezing?
sneezing so much?
Um,
That was like 4. Wow.
that was a real Todd move. But for reference, you don't need to know who Todd is. um, speaking of that, Todd was just railing on some poor customer service person on the phone at work today.
Oh no.
We thought he was screaming at work he was doing, and then I was
Which reference is a normal occurrence. That's
yeah, an older gentleman, looks like skinny Santa Claus, and works on a lot of like hydraulic presses and stuff. And he was in the back room screaming about something for like 10 minutes. Well, realistically, more like 4 or 5 minutes. But Miranda and I were in the lunchroom and heard it, and then I got into a closer area, and it was him on the phone with somebody saying like, well, the service at your store is terrible. And it's a lot.
Wait, so he was talking to like an actual store, or was it like a company, like a big?
It seems like he was talking to a place that he had gone for something, and based on the context of I got a long description about fencing today.
Oh yeah.
A lot to deal with because my interest in fencing is pretty low. And
wow,
it was one of
that's
yeah. I was holding a box of like pretty packed full of like stuff to be heavy-ish, and it was just me standing there with it, like looking in his direction next to the door for like literally probably 10 minutes of just like, I have work. I must do this, please.
What about the fencing? Is he putting up a fence?
He tore down a fence, and now he's putting up a fence for somebody. If you're interested in how pristine the wood looked when it was in his pickup truck, I can give you a real description. There were 2 other like close to 60-year-old men who were tasked with helping him, and they were just terrible at fencing. You should have seen how wide those holes were, and I can't even tell you how annoying it is that they would have crowbarred cement from the sides, making the holes even bigger.
Oh my god!
Just assholes. And they wanted to watch a football game on Sunday, and that's just so not the point of what we're doing here. So I just told them to leave. I mean, he only listens to talk radio, so he will never hear this. But his like observations on life are at the same time very frustrating and very funny. Did you hear about the sandwich, since this is now a Todd segment? It reminded me, because the last time that he had a real problem with customer service was first off, he said like there's a great place where we get food near where I live. So I'm already assuming like it's probably like an Applebee's or something, because that's in the range of that stuff. And then he was talking about like, and I went and got this food, and I realized like that mayonnaise is not that cold looking. What? um, so I think it was definitely that, which is confusing on its own. Like even having done like food prep and stuff like that, like yeah, maybe, but like mayonnaise would have to be out and warm for a while before it's a problem because mayonnaise can be room temperature if you're nasty. And uh, he uh, he was talking about like he and his wife both ate these sandwiches, but she was fine, which is also like so it wasn't the sandwiches, I bet. Um, but it was definitely the mayonnaise on the sandwiches. Uh, he he then reveals that it's a Jimmy John's, which is like, oh, these nice sandwiches that we have. And he also revealed that they go there like at least once a week, which is too much to eat Jimmy John's unless you're like just like ravenous for it for every lunch period or something. I don't know. Uh,
Oh my
but
god.
but apparently that was the initial story is that he had Jimmy John's and it was at once also too dry. I don't know how that works into the mayonnaise being bad, but also he I guess just felt kind of nauseous and then had to shit a lot. Which sounds to me like eating Jimmy John's. So like I don't really
Yeah.
see a pattern of some kind of bad food there. And it it then turned into he had called and complained about it the day
He
before.
called the Jimmy John's?
Yes. And he said like, well, now you've lost a customer unless you make this right, implying that he should get some bonuses from Jimmy John's for the trouble that he had had with their subpar sandwich.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
also, totally obvious that he was just talking to whoever the employee was there, which in the world of like Jimmy John's or any kind of like fast service food kind of place is nothing. You've talked to no one. They heard an old man say, "My food could have been better," and then like that's it. And he then went on to call them again from work right after that and talk about how like, well, I just don't think this is right and I think you could make it right by offering me something.
Hell.
Which is just such a like extorting them for free sandwiches, I guess. It's not extortion though. You just felt bad and you usually feel great after you slam these Jimmy Johns. So anyway, clearly not an advertisement for Jimmy John's from me, but in any case,
That's gonna be a
uh,
problem since they're sponsoring this podcast.
shit. um, it was very much a redux of that not that long ago sandwich dilemma, but with some unknown portion of this like fencing thing.
Oh my god.
Also, I'm always troubled when I realize that he does all the math for the stuff that he cuts down. And he's good at constructing stuff, but when he has to do quick math in his head, it is sometimes problematic. Like he was like, well, I mean, we had like 7 feet of this and 7 feet of this and like 6 feet of this, so it was like 16 feet of this thing. It's like that's 21 feet, dude. It's not, but like that was the whole weird thing is like him talking about this stuff and like the math is clearly wrong because like even just knowing really basic things quickly, you can keep up with his stuff. And he's in charge of making sure everything is the right size at
Yep.
that job. So it's interesting. He does have calculators, so I know that that's not a real problem, but it is worrying in case, like, I don't know, we have to do it without one at some point.
He strikes me as someone that would prefer their own head before they'd use a calculator, though.
Yeah, it is good that he writes everything down on paper and like draws a diagram because I think that
Yeah.
keeps it more stable. But um, man, I learned a lot about proper fencing, and I don't think I'm ever going to use any of it. Uh, I also learned a lot about how bad some jackhammers are
Oh.
compared to others.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
some are really bad compared to others.
man, you just can't trust some jackhammers, I guess,
Compared to others.
compared to others. He also described having an argument with the guy who sold him or rented him the jackhammer because the bit kept coming out of the jackhammer and the other jackhammer he had looked newer, which is like, I think I see what the problem is potentially, but not really. Um, and then he was telling me it was ridiculous that he gave him like a needle bit for doing fencing, and I just can't start with that because I have no idea what that means.
No clue at all.
Eh,
I can follow the stories of calling Jimmy John's multiple days in a row to get some sweet, sweet free sandwiches.
he
Not so
also
much
stated
stupid.
many times over that from what he observed, he's pretty sure it was the mayonnaise, which I'm sure they just find very useful. Uh,
I fucking love the logic of, and this is not unique to Todd at all.
no.
This is just everybody complaining everywhere of your your service slash product is bad. Give me more of it for free.
Uh-huh.
I love.
Well, he also was talking
Oh
about like how much of a bummer it was that he wouldn't be able to go there anymore because it's the only place that they really like near their house. And then like
yeah.
later that day being like, I'm not going there for the rest of the week. And then like just slowly it turning into like basically he's going there later today. And to just for context, I like Todd, but
I
he
love
is a
Todd. Yeah.
he is a fantastic example of how you can just become crotchety with absolutely no effort whatsoever.
Oh, man, I really, really want to bring him a really big jar of more mayonnaise now. And just ask him how it looks. Does this look cold to you?
As is this
Does it
is the
look?
does the container look frosty enough? Is this an acceptable mayo experience to the eyes for you?
Oh god. Also, when you walk into Jimmy John's, they just have like huge ass like commercial sized jars of mayonnaise, and none of them are refrigerated. So, uh,
uh, I don't make a habit of going into Jimmy John's or eating Jimmy John's, so I actually don't have much info on it.
I
Uh,
think it's been a while. I think it's been at least a year since I've been to a Jimmy John's. But from my memory, that's like their interior decorating. Here's the food that we're gonna put on your sandwich, and it's on the walls.
I mean, it sounds right to me.
I don't mind it. So
Uh,
that's
Speaking
awesome.
of kind of some stuff we were talking about, I'm about to send you a picture that might trouble you.
Hmm.
So gird yourself. Uh, this is something that I was made privy to not long ago. Um, and there it is.
Oh no! Wait, what?
Uh-huh. What do you think of it?
I'm confused about what's happening here. So wait, is it the what is happening in this picture?
So
Is it
Heinz,
the cream from the eggs, but in a jar form?
no. So I was looking into that a little more because apparently that happened like a year ago, and it exists. But what it is just mayonnaise, and it has like diced and blended Cadbury eggs in it. So it's just like a slurry that is mayonnaise. Are you thinking about like the slightly sour taste of mayonnaise with just hunks of Cadbury goop in it? Because I am.
Yeah. See,
Uh,
there is mayonnaise that you can tell by the way that it looks that it's wrong, and that
yeah.
mayonnaise is this mayonnaise.
It has like speckles in it and like chunks, and
So gross. It
it's
looks
bad.
from far away. When you first sent it to me, I thought it was like a brown mustard, like
Ugh.
Dijon mustard. And then I look at it, and on closer inspection, it's covered in a Cadbury egg wrapper,
Yeah.
which is nasty and should
Anyway,
never be allowed.
if they had that mayonnaise at Jimmy John's, they would have been doing fine.
Actually, you know what? I could see Todd being fine with this mayonnaise, in all honesty.
Yeah, probably. He
Because
does
he really
kind of
likes sugar things, right?
eat like that. He also constantly says that he doesn't like a lot of foods, and those foods include like just suspiciously anything that is a non-sweet vegetable or fruit.
Carrots, hate him. Celery, awful.
And that kind of seems like all of what he doesn't like, even though he says he doesn't like a lot of food. I think it's mostly just vegetables. Because he'll always talk about like, oh, this steak was really good, or like, oh, this banana is finally ripe enough, and it's like almost black and stuff. Like, I don't think it's that he doesn't like food. I think it's that he only likes sugar food.
Yeah, I think that might be correct. Because his standard breakfast is like Pop-Tarts and Mountain Dew, right?
Yeah.
Or that's kind of
Well,
his
he
top
also
meal.
does his like coffee that's almost like 50% sugar.
Yeah.
That's really rough to see. You've seen that though, right? Like his
Yeah, I
cup
have.
before he puts the coffee in it. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's not exaggerating. Like, you could dip multiple digits of your fingers into the sugar in it. It's not just like there's a lot of it. It's
No.
like it's a way to make sugar drinkable.
I think now that you're describing that, I'm pretty sure at some point I walked into the break room, saw a cup full of sugar that was being prepared,
Uh-huh.
did not make the connection, and just like might have just thrown it away.
You just sort of ignored that existed at all.
It's just like no.
Somebody fecked up.
Like, this
This
can't
just
be right.
doesn't work. He also gets vanilla lattes, which seemed pretty pedestrian when I first started working there, and he would like show up with a Starbucks latte.
Yeah.
He gets 17 pumps in it.
No.
The standard for like a 16 ounce is 4, I think, and I can't drink those. Like, I request a 2.
Yeah.
And he gets like, I think a 20 ounce, but he also is getting like at least like triple or more, because it can't be more than like 6 shots. So he's getting, yeah, like about triple. It's so much.
They should at some point just like hand him the syrup and be like, here, you've bought enough of this for it to just be yours.
Tell you what, you pump it into the cup and then we'll make the coffee around it. Just get it to where you want it.
Add the coffee at the end is just like a filler.
Yeah. I mean, that would make total sense.
That is one approach to coffee that I can't endorse.
It is
So
challenging.
Don't want to think about.
My idea of coffee being essentially a very strong tea that you could add things to, but I usually don't, is like the opposite of how Todd seems to see it, as like a vehicle for a liquid pastry.
Yeah, that seems like what he's going for every time.
Though to be fair, I'm out of shape, and Todd always seems like he's like strapped. So I don't know. He may be
Yeah.
doing it perfect. He goes out and builds a fence, and I like go for a run and get winded. Though I've never seen him run, to be honest. He might have terrible cardiovascular.
I mean, you might not like it, but I'm pretty sure that's what peak performance looks like. It's just a cup filled up this high with sugar and then this much coffee, and then he might be doing it right. Maybe the rest of us have it wrong. The food pyramid just needs to be flipped, and then sugar is all of it.
Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, we just need to pick it up, flip it, and reverse it.
Yeah, that seems right.
Oh, so back on the stuff we've been watching, Kick. How much of Schitt's Creek have you seen?
I've seen all of it.
Okay, because you suggested that to me, like either last podcast or the one before. I think it was the last one, and that show is very good. So I'll definitely continue watching that. I somehow managed to watch like a season and a half with very little effort. So
they're pretty. I think they're short too. They're only like 25 minutes or something.
I think they're about 20. Yeah, the episodes are not very long, but they get what they need to out of the episodes.
Yeah.
I definitely, it feels like they started off the show thinking that every character was going to be just as popular, and then the brother and like a couple of the side characters clearly have started to take more like spotlight, which is the right choice.
Yeah, I think so. Although I think my favorite character, well, they must be pretty tied actually. My favorite characters are the brother and then Moira, because of her outrageous costumes that are horrible and terrific.
I think it's like the third or maybe even second episode that just opens with her opening drawers one at a time and screaming into them because like some jewelry is missing. And it's like not a super short scene, and that was a pretty good indication of what was coming. Also, that character that I think it's Chris Elliott plays, that's like the mayor.
Roland?
Yeah, that feels like a character out of like an 80s sitcom. Like that's also very weird to me. Or not even a sitcom, like an 80s comedy movie. It feels very like What About Bob-ish almost.
Yeah, I could see that. I like him and his wife. They're kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of bone-in jokes.
Yeah.
Which tend to work pretty well, even though they're like the most like overused kind of joke.
Yeah.
I also like their depiction of like small town stuff is not that crazy. Like it kind of is just small townish, and then the like the rich people that get sort of forcibly put into the small town are appropriately bizarre.
Horrible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do like that. Let's see. Have you seen the episode? I think this is my favorite episode where they have a town sign that the dad sees it, and he wants to get it removed because he thinks it's like really inappropriate.
He's trying to sell the sign that has the lady bent over on it and the guy like standing right behind her.
Yeah, nobody in the whole town sees the problem, and oh my god, I loved that one.
That was a pretty good episode. The conclusion of that episode is also quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't really explain too much of it without it being like taking away from certain episodes, but I think that the characterization in that show is both like pretty sincere in a weird way while also being like funny and not like overbearing. Though
Mm-hmm.
it is extremely cringeworthy whenever Moira is doing anything, which seems like the point.
Yeah. I hope they actually might have already gotten this, but I hope they get some sort of award for costuming, and I think she should get an award for her performance. And same thing with David and the
Yeah.
dad, who I can't remember the dad.
Uh,
I like David and Alexis's back and forth, and I like that
oh, yeah.
they all have like a weird rich people accent that is just nothing. Like
Yeah.
especially Moira. Moira's got this weird whatever doesn't make any sense. It's not from anything.
She's just over pronouncing random words. Yeah, it works very
Yeah, I
well
love
for
it.
how dumb it could have been. Uh,
She
I
says
also,
baby, baby,
yeah,
baby.
I think I remember seeing that the person who plays Stevie got a supporting actress award. Um, and I'm pretty sure that they got writing awards and stuff like that in there somewhere. I
Yeah.
do like the Stevie character being like just excited to see how fucked up the next thing they
Yeah.
do is. It's like the most earnest like audience surrogate you could put in it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think there is a scene in one of the last episodes I saw where Moira they live in two adjoined motel rooms. So
Hmm.
it's like the two kids who are like in their late 20s live in a room together, and then the parents live in the room and they just have the like motel door between them, as like the you can make this room bigger option. And
Hmm.
uh Moira walks into the kids' apartment or motel room, and has like this crazy like gold outfit that just has like all the wrong spaces like accentuated, and it's like her fancy outfit. And she walks in, and it just shows in the background the Stevie character, like with a wide mouth, but like super excited, like leaning over to look closer at the dress. And that's the whole joke, is just that she's so excited to see how terrible this is. And it works really well for that show, where I think it wouldn't in a lot of other shows.
Hmm. Yeah, I think she is my favorite of the like yeah, the audience surrogate character, the only normal person in the whole show.
Uh-huh.
She's I think my favorite person that's done that.
And I really like the sister. Is Alexis, you said?
Alexis.
I never remember her name for whatever reason. I don't think they say it that often, but um,
Alex.
uh, her like complete inability to like she can talk to people well, but she can't actually like be a normal human being ever.
Yeah. Never. She can't I don't even know what the correct word is. Like she can't finish a thought without it being horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. But yeah,
Uh,
I love that character and all the ridiculous backstory they make up for her.
uh-huh.
That she just kind of mentions sometimes, like, oh yeah, I was kidnapped and put in the trunk of a car in like Vietnam or something like fucked up like that.
Uh-huh.
And the dad's always horrified. I love that they're like extremely absentee parents, and he's like just now finding out all this shit that both of them did. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
like that episode where she gets sick, and the Moira's character just can't deal with like being a parent to a sick kid at all.
Hmm.
Uh, and she's basically just planning to leave and let her die.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of my favorite shows that's on right now, I think.
I think
In
that
that like time frame range.
I think that show is over. I think that
Oh, is it really?
I think that the end of the fifth season or something has like something that insinuates that that's all of it.
Maybe.
Uh,
I can't remember.
I think I also, when I was looking to see what the names of the characters were the other day, I think I saw like a tweet about how since they wouldn't ever be filming that again, they were like doing a bunch of stuff together for like different things. So
Oh,
I think it's like hit
done.
a conclusion.
Hmm.
But
Okay,
there might be
maybe.
like a last season that's still not out or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think maybe I've just watched all of what's on Netflix, so it's probably just still um just on TV or wherever it is and not on Netflix yet.
That could be. Uh,
Maybe.
but yeah, I'm glad that that exists because that definitely has been uh, one of the first shows I've seen in a while in that format where I'm willing to just watch a bunch of it at once.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
when I,
it's kind of filling like the office void sometimes
well,
because
and
they're kind of the same time frame.
I don't even like The Office very much, and it still works for me.
Yeah.
It definitely has like the characters that are worth paying attention to vibe that I think gives a lot of people like the Office feeling to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I think they're taking the office off soon. I'm pretty sure. I know
Yeah,
they took Friends off.
I think that uh what is that like NBC that has those shows?
Yeah, I think they're
I
putting it back on there.
I think that they're making an NBC service which there's no chance in hell I'm ever gonna get.
Yeah, no. Nope, that's not happening. I can't wait until there's just like 20 different streaming services and we're supposed to subscribe to all of them to
Yeah,
watch one show.
well, it's like Hulu right now is one of the places where you can watch the third season of Twin Peaks, which I've still only seen half of.
Mm.
But in order to watch Twin Peaks on Hulu, you have to subscribe to a secondary, I think it's like Stars or something, service that you can watch like a shitty version of on like devices, or you can use Hulu to watch it through Hulu, which is just the
Okay.
most convoluted garbage. Um, like,
I think I accidentally signed up for that.
oh,
Yeah. I got a surprise charge on my card the other day, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that I did that, but okay, cool.
that sounds like something that could happen pretty easily. That's why I'm always afraid to tell my dad about like how to get different services because I feel like it's not that hard to just like get imaginary uh, free services for like a month and then all of a sudden owe a bunch of money.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what happened. I think I started a free trial to watch Euphoria on
Yeah.
Hulu, and then finished it. Never touched Hulu again. And for some reason, I think they added like a HBO add-on, so it was like $30, and I had to deal with that. So that was a
Uh,
fun time.
sorry, I just got an update from um, Nicholas.
Nicholas, the fourth official member of the podcast.
Um, I'm telling him to head back this way because apparently he was doing other plans and assumed that uh, I think maybe he assumes that we always do like a 5-hour podcast. I'm not really sure.
It might feel that way to other people, but it's not, I swear. We only have one so far. I know this now since I went through or am going through all of our podcasts to see which ones Skype overwrote without my express permission or knowledge. But we only have one that's really that long, and that one is the dildo one, and it's like 3 hours long.
The dildo one. That one, like if we can get into streaming, that's honestly close to what I would want all of our episodes to be like. But
Yeah,
maybe less arduous for people.
yeah.
Because I still drop bits of what was talked about in that, and people are interested.
It was a good podcast. That is like something that I would listen to on my own time. But
yeah, sorry everybody has to hear this trash.
Yeah, sorry. But it's funny going through all of the recordings because I'm trash at organization, unlike you, and have not named anything. Literally, one of the recordings that I had a file of, I named it last week.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
I don't know. So I'm going through these, like, trying to match the dates and also figure out what the topic of the podcast was based on what we were sending each other in the chat. So I have just, like... This is like your worst nightmare that I'm describing, isn't it? I just have like the Yaddle episode because that's all I have. The dildo episode. We should take on like a friends naming convention and be like the one with the dildo.
Yeah, I mean,
the one with Yaddle.
It'd probably be accurate enough. We definitely can't use dates because people are going to be listening to these when it's not now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
At least for the time being.
Completely irrelevant to whatever's happening. But that's the other thing I was going to say is that I did actually set up a Twitch channel. So we do have that.
Very nice.
It's called This Week's Pod because this week's podcast was taken.
Okay. That's I was actually just talking to somebody about like metadata and what sites would work for this week's podcast. So I'll probably have to do something similar with YouTube because we do need a place on the internet where we can have our videos and that's just like a bunch of comments under it that slowly devolve into people being like pro-Nazi or something. So we're gonna need a YouTube channel for people to watch this for sure.
The mark of true success.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can. It doesn't have to be Twitch or whatever. I'm open to anything, but I figured we might as well just lock down the username or whatever.
Yeah.
In case we decide.
And that'll probably be a part of what we talk about post-podcast today. So that works in perfectly. Hopefully, we will then have a announcement that we can tell people where to go see our shit in the next podcast. But we shouldn't get too excited about that.
No, don't expect progress.
Don't expect. That's actually perfect. I think it's if you listen to this whole episode all up to here, you're probably okay with the way that we sound and act enough. And I think it is the perfect time to tell everybody we're not editors, so you should just give up on that shit.
All the shit uncut.
We're not like, I don't know, experienced in most things, so like if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. If enough people like it, we'll probably start finding some way to beg for money, but who knows? I really have no idea on that.
It's always a possibility. I could use it. I would. I would use it.
Yeah, no, I think we both would, and that would be great. But we really have to have just any product before we can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody should imagine our work being the work of people who do not edit themselves at all and are trying to put out what they can put out without having, let's say, the freedom of 1,000,000 hours to do it.
Yeah. Yes, I would say we're the, I don't know, we're the people who need like zero barrier to entry. It has to be a requirement for anything that we do, and I think that we're there. Like,
yeah, totally. Think of us as the 2004 cell phone picture of podcasts.
Hell yeah!
If you like good shit, like big ass pixels, tons of light bloom, just nasty pictures.
Yeah.
If you like that shit, we're that. That's how we do it.
That's us. That's our brand.
You know, in a certain way, we're the most cyberpunk podcast of them all.
Oh shit.
Because we're just trash, raw feed.
Oh man. Don't tell the other podcasts, they're gonna be mad.
Yeah, they're also going to be able to make way more podcasts than us if it gets popular. Unless we somehow make it work, and then we just stream every night.
There are people that do that, and
you would be amazed how long I could talk about dildos if the need be.
Oh, it be.
I could talk about all kinds of dumbass video game shit that you don't care about. It would probably take me hundreds of hours to talk about all that stupid shit.
Yep. And we have access to those hours at some point, maybe, if we make money doing this. So.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's us calling our shot and then just tossing a wiffle ball into the trees.
I'm just gonna speak it into existence. That we're gonna be millionaires.
That's like the Christmas card I just gave my friend, who doesn't have a cat, is hopefully getting one this week sometime, and I gave them a Christmas card that just has coupons for cat food in it. Like, I don't know, manifest cat destiny. You got to get one at some point, right?
Oh God, that's a really good idea. Oh man, maybe I should start keeping like grocery coupons that I get in the mail to like manifest.
Oh yeah,
you going to the store.
That's the brightest future we have, is just holding on to all the coupons we get.
Yeah,
just becoming those people. And hey, if everything works out, people can see us do it. You can put us on a screen and jack off, or like make dinner, do your laundry, whatever, and we're just there.
Yeah.
And I just got a text with no context that says "very good story," so I'm going to take that as uplifting and moving us towards the right direction with all of our podcasting.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be taken.
Well, I feel like this has been really successful, and everybody's really going to agree with the things we've said.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's really excited. Everyone. Oh my God, there's a spider on my desk.
Well, you're fucked now.
I hate it.
Do you have a cup?
Well, actually, so full story. It's already under a cup. I knew it was there, but it hasn't moved in a long time, and it just moved a lot, so it freaked me out.
Okay, so it's more like
it's contained already.
More than anything, you just have an unofficial pet that you saw do some stuff, and it freaked you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. more backstory on the spider. I
Why
put
is it still there?
I'm waiting for it to like die or something.
Uh,
Or I guess I could just put it outside. I could do that, but I don't. Okay. This spider, I trapped it in this cup before Christmas, and
okay.
it was like
Wait,
kind of
so
small,
that spider's already been there for like
a long time,
why?
because I don't want to touch it. Um. Uh. When I came back from Coeur d'Alene, it got a lot bigger, so I especially didn't want to touch it then, because I think it was a baby, and now it's growing up, and now it's big, and I don't want to touch it.
This is insane. What are you? You need to at least put this spider outside. It might die out there, but it'll be able to give it a shot.
Evan gave it a piece of ham, which I told him not to do, because I don't think they eat ham, but he's sitting on the ham.
Okay, good. We were talking about an icon for our podcast, and now I'm thinking a spider sitting on a piece of ham might be the best option we
I'll
have.
send you a photo, and you can do artistic things to this if you so choose.
Okay,
Super exciting.
I'm gonna describe to people this spider because I'm sure it's just real scary, and everybody's gonna be freaked out by the description that I give because
I'm probably at some point, if this ever gets on the internet, gonna get like fucking canceled for abuse towards a spider. It's actually not as big as I thought. It's
I bet not.
Big.
Also, there's still time. You could still put the spider in a place where it has a chance.
I'll put it outside after this. He's all curled up in a ball now, so you can't really tell how big he is. But he got fucking big. Like, he was not as big, and then I went away, and I came back, and he's just grown into this nasty thing.
Madison's thick spider is a real problem.
And now I have unofficially turned my apartment into a spider farm.
Yeah, you're a spider hole. That's how it works now.
Oh yeah, I want to send this picture to Jerry.
Oh, right. I'm glad that your phone picked up on that.
You would think with all the... I know that they're like reading all of my text messages. You would think they'd be able to figure this out.
I mean, it is...
He's curled in a ball. You can't tell how big he is. He's big, I swear.
It's strange to me that it's hanging out on the ham. I guess maybe it's warmer than the counter.
Maybe.
You've created a spider terrarium, a highly questionable one, but I do think your next course of action is just sliding a piece of paper under it and just take a piece of mail or a piece of paper that you don't want and just leave the whole thing outside, and you won't have to deal with the spider at all. Yeah, exactly. Just
I don't want those.
that spider's gonna have a lot of ham energy to do your taxes.
Ham energy. Oh. Do my taxes, spider.
That'll be how you get over your fear.
He'll do my taxes and he's mad. I made him mad.
Oh, interesting. I don't know why he was mad.
Oh.
Well,
no, he's fine. He's calm. He'll be released post pod.
We'd better get an update on this next week in which you and the spider have become best friends and you've apologized for all your wrongdoings.
I'm so sorry to the spider, but honestly, you shouldn't be in my house. That's my official opinion on spiders.
I understand what you're saying.
Oh, actually, this apartment has not been too bad spider-wise, although not too long ago, I was in our bathroom and I noticed on the floor what looked like a spider leg. And I was like, up until that point, there had been no spiders in the apartment. And I was like, oh, well, there's no spiders here, so that's not a spider leg. So I just kind of left it and didn't really do anything. I just went about my day. And then upon closer inspection later, there actually was a huge dead spider that Evan killed and just left it there and never told me that it was like, I don't know what kind, but like big one. Like, that's not that big compared to this one.
You're giving like a silver dollar sized?
Yeah, I feel like that big.
Okay, so like a very wide mouth.
That's a big spider, though. Like, see the diameter of this Tootsie Pop from my Christmas stocking.
I see it.
A bit big.
Okay. Well, that's crazy. That's a crazy thing that you've just said. That's fine though.
But anyway, I was very shaken by the realization that there were in fact spiders in my apartment because I thought this was spider-free apartment.
To be fair, there have and always will be spiders in your apartment because that's where spiders are. Nicholas, my roommate, is maybe the most scared of spiders person I've ever known, and except for my biological mother, maybe. But there was one behind our fridge, like on the edge of. So like our fridge is at a spot where a corner is. So like if you were to move the fridge away, it would be a corner that is the edge of a room heading into a hallway. So there is a space behind it where it is like the back of the fridge, and then it's just a continuing wall that goes back towards like other doors or one other door. But so if something crawls out from behind the fridge, it's just on the hallway like wall. And our hallway isn't super wide or anything. Like, it's a small apartment, but our hallway is like Nick and I could stand shoulder to shoulder and still be both across the hallway. Like, it's not super tight or anything. And he wouldn't walk past the back of the fridge to get out of the hallway because there was a spider on the wall behind the fridge near the wall that was on the hallway. So your ability to have it under a cup and near you is at least something. But I don't know.
I'm scared of them in the sense that I don't want them running around my stuff. I don't want them. I don't want to be surprised by it. I want to know where it is. I want to see. I actually like spiders. I think they're interesting. I like looking at them. I don't want them to be free to roam and do their little
spider
deeds.
It's fucking spider deeds that keep happening. I don't like spiders. Like, I don't want to be near spiders, but most of it I think has to do with I don't want to accidentally like crush or hurt a spider. And I feel like anytime they're around me, it's just a second away from me like accidentally like setting something down on it or like trying to move it away from me and like breaking all of its legs by accident. Like, that seems like how spiders are to me.
Nicer than my approach. I don't like squishing them because I don't like the sensation of squishing freaks me out. I hate that.
That
But the
makes sense.
actual spider's welfare is not necessarily at the top of my list of concerns.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like killing things or hurting things, and I also uh like I don't want them on me if at all possible, you know.
I mean, that's a pretty big request when you're talking about spiders. They like to be on you.
I don't think they do, but I don't know all the
Is there?
secrets.
I feel like there was some sort of statistic where I think this was also proven to be like total bullshit. But like, have you heard the you swallow so many spiders in a year because they crawl in your mouth while you're sleeping?
Uh,
That
I
spider statistic.
I have heard that. Um,
I feel like
uh,
the number was 7, but I don't.
so the bit that I see just offhand in the world of Snopes is that almost everything about a sleeping human being is unlike good to a spider.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think that it probably was a rumor that started by, it's probably some asshole just making it up, but it probably started because spiders do try to find like warm-ish spots. So a lot of people's beds like probably are warmer than the rest of the room and near a wall.
Mm-hmm.
So when spiders hang out next to people's beds, they probably just somebody thought it would be a cool story that everybody would love if they
Yeah,
said that you just ate them all the time.
just crunch on them in your sleep. I
Uh,
do have a very vivid memory of being like 10 or something, probably younger than that, maybe not 8 or something. But sitting in bed reading in my pink footy pajamas.
uh-huh.
And this is when I lived in like a log cabin in the middle of the woods, so I was basically asking for this to happen.
Oh yeah, then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I used to that used to be my life. But uh a huge spider just like crawled onto my leg and just like sat there, and I had to flick it off of me because I didn't want it to crawl onto my face
Uh-huh.
because I thought that was the next thing that would happen. But
Well, leg to face, it only makes sense.
that seems like the next logical conclusion. When there's a spider on your body, he's going towards your face.
My issue is always like if there's a spider on my body, it's going to get under clothing and I'm going to crush it to death instantly. Uh,
That is never something I'm worried about. But
uh,
that's
I
nice.
used to live in a place with a lot of ants, like outside, and the worst would be like not realizing that you had ants on you and then them like getting under your clothing.
Yeah.
Because that's the same deal for me. Like, I don't want to have things in my clothing because I can't, like, I have almost no control over how to, like, deal with that once they're in there.
Yeah. I don't like the thought of that as well.
Uh,
Bugs in your clothes, not a good idea.
yeah, big thumbs down on that. Uh, I'm going to give a maybe a parting story as it looks like our accomplice is finally here.
Okay.
Um, I this is not a pop secret. This is like a pop's friend secret. uh, Here's a different sound effect.
Ooh.
And and so our family had a friend who we ended up living in the same house as they did, and that's the house that had ants. And they were like the red and black, like big ants.
Yeah.
And he went outside and sat naked on the anthill when he was drunk at one point,
Oh my god.
and then
Okay.
described all the ant bites that he got on everything. We know some interesting people, but I think that's going to do it for the podcast.
Yep, I think that's a good way to cap it off.
I hope next week we can talk about cats because it's fucking crazy.
Yes, I'll try my best.
Excellent.
I want that to happen.